Welcome back to another session of picking apart Melly Germany 9479's comments on my YouTube channel. I recently released a series of videos analyzing, just reading through her comment sentence by sentence and refuting everything that she said and offering a more than adequate rebuttal to everything that she commented. I would say I won that argument, but maybe I'm biased. So this is her follow-up comment after I began posting those videos, and now we're going to do the same thing. I think with this comment, though, rather than breaking it up and doing one video per paragraph, I'm just going to go ahead and try to squeeze this whole comment into this one video. So let's start reading here. Just saw your video in response to my comment. First off, it is sad that you resort to personal insults when responding to me, using ad hominem arguments to undermine your opponent's, I think you meant to say opponent's, character in order to win an argument is not the hallmark of a great intellect. You're half right. It can denote when someone just hurls insults at their opponent in an argument. It can denote that they are not a great intellect. However, so first of all, I pulled this up. Let's just really quickly go right here. Yes, intelligent people can engage in ad hominem, but ad hominem attacks are generally considered a sign of low intelligence. Ad hominem is a persuasive technique where someone attacks an opponent's character or motives instead of engaging with their argument. This technique can redirect the discussion away from the main topic and make it difficult to have a fruitful exchange of ideas. Here's the thing with that. So right here, the Google AI bot is telling us that yes, actually, intelligent people can engage in ad hominem. It does happen. Just the same way as they say that they claim that highly intelligent people also curse quite a bit. They what's the word I'm looking for? Not blasphemy, because that's only if you're religious and you're saying something against someone's God. I'm just gonna go with curse. You know what I mean. There's a proper word for it though. It'll come to me later, I'm sure. But you're right in that it's generally not a great sign that you're dealing with someone of high intellect, but that does not necessarily mean that you're not dealing with someone of high intellect. You could be dealing with someone who is very intelligent, but just likes to engage in ad hominem once in a while. And really, that's not, that wasn't my entire argument against you, was it? Was me just hurling insults at you. My style is more to make a proper argument, flush with examples and facts to back up what I'm saying, my side of the debate. But then, and this is only if I find somebody to be particularly irritating, not irritable, but irritating and loathsome, I will then also quite often tack on some insults, some personal insults. I am perfectly capable of engaging in a debate or an argument with somebody without hurling insults at them or getting dirty. But again, if I find the person to be a jerk, we'll put it politely, a jerk, then yes, I will absolutely hurl insults at them. Why do I do that? Because I don't think that you should reward bad behavior with being too polite. All right. So when someone is a jerk, or they behave like a jerk, when they do bad things, when they do immoral things, unethical things, they should certainly receive some sort of negative consequences. Otherwise, how do they know to stop doing it? particularly if you're dealing with somebody who has a cluster B personality disorder, they are not driven by notions of right and wrong, good and bad. They are driven by notions of what can I get away with? You know, what do I want? How do I get it? And what can I get away with doing? And so quite often, if you find yourself dealing with somebody like that, if you're, let's say, in an argument with them, it helps to not only definitely make your argument, make it properly, engage in the argument itself, hold up your end of the debate, again, with facts, examples, so on and so forth. But then also, you might want to consider embarrassing them with personal insults, because it will just deter them that much more from being a jerk. Right? And it's one of the only things, again, like so you can make the argument that murdering someone is wrong until your face turns blue and the cows come home. But if you're talking to a psychopath or a sociopath, it's going to go right in one ear and out the other. They're not going to go, oh my goodness, you're right, and I'm wrong. I've been blind all this time. How could I? You know, if you're talking to a murderous psychopath, they're not going to care. But if you're belittling them publicly and insulting them publicly and embarrassing them publicly, as a consequence for doing that, or engaging in similar types of acts or behavior, or stalker behavior, let's say, that might be the thing that actually deters them from engaging in the negative behavior, in the antisocial behavior. So I do actually, I encourage people to engage in ad hominem when they are debating somebody who they find to be particularly distasteful. But they should not let their argument rest solely on insulting their opponent, because that does denote a weak mind. That does denote a lack of intelligence. But again, I more than adequately upheld my end of the argument with facts and examples. I can add in, I can re-engage in the argument if you would like, and add in more facts and examples if you would like, but then I will also probably tack on more insults. So, let's see. Let's go down. Oh my goodness, it's buggy. I'm outside, out front, and there's skeeters. So yeah, so I've just, right there, you see how in fact, let's just use everything I just said and how I tackled these first couple of sentences in your comment with a fact I pulled up from Google, or maybe you could call that the opinion of the Google AI bot, I don't know. I'm giving you examples, and I'm going to some lengths to refute your claim there. Yeah. But I'm also insulting you at the same time, you big dum-dum. So, let's move on. Also, I fail to see how I am stalking you when all I am doing is responding to your public videos and posts on social media platforms. Do you not expect for people to comment on your content? I've already, in the previous videos I just recently released, mentioned several times in several different reasons why I think of you as being a stalker. But for the sake of driving the point home, and for new viewers who might stumble upon this, I will repeat those reasons right now. Why do I think you are a stalker? So yes, first of all, I do expect people to comment on my content. But if you were to take a sampling of all the comments left on videos on YouTube, typically most people will leave a comment that amounts to, at most, a couple of sentences. Quite often, they leave a comment that amounts to only a few words. Doesn't even count as a grammatically correct full sentence, right? However, what are you doing, and what have you done for the better part of 2 years now, since you first started coming onto my YouTube channel? You're leaving comments that are the length of short articles. or essays. You're leaving comments that are multiple paragraphs. So there's one reason. You seem very invested in trying to likely make me look unintelligent and stupid to... Oh, that's the same thing, stupid and unintelligent, sorry. You likely to make me look unintelligent to the public at large, anybody who comes across my YouTube channel, but also probably just to try and pick apart my own morale. Really all you're doing is making me think like, wow, stupidity tries, I guess. Like, wow, she's putting a lot of effort into just making herself look stupid, is what I'm coming away from your comments with. So, yeah, you've been hanging around my YouTube channel for roughly around 2 years, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, since I first started posting videos talking about this network of child traffickers, child abusers, that I think are a cult. I think that they are families. I think this is generational. They pass the behavior down generation to generation. I think that they engage in incest. And I do think that they also have people who are a part of their network that are not necessarily part of a family unit, and don't necessarily even engage in the child abuse part. But so, for example, you could have a psychopath who is not sexually attracted to children and does not want to sexually abuse children, but if they're getting any kind of payoffs from people who do engage in those things, they would probably turn their heads and pretend they don't know what's going on, and or even go out of their way to launch a cyber attack against somebody who's trying to expose, their meal ticket, essentially. Right? So I do think that you're one of those people. I think that you are either a full member of this network, or you're somebody who benefits from them in some way. And so that's one of the things. I think you're cyber stalking me for them and for yourself. And yeah, so and I think that because you did not show up on my YouTube channel several years ago, back when all I had on there were some videos of music concerts and stuff that I had been to in Philly. You weren't commenting back then. You popped up and started commenting after I started talking about, very shortly after I started talking about this network of child abusers, ritual child abusers. And they do engage in gang stalking, so on and so forth. And when most people would have long ago drifted off of my content, because I do not have a very big YouTube channel, I don't have the kind of channel that YouTube likely goes out of its way to push on people's feeds and suggest to people. Yeah, it's more likely, again, the trend for most people, the behavior for most people on YouTube just viewing random videos, is they might stumble upon a channel that they find intriguing and interesting and entertaining and stick with it for a little while, maybe a few weeks, maybe a few months at most. But then typically they will move on. They will find other content. Other content will be suggested to them, and they will all but forget the previous YouTube channels. And also, again, I stopped posting videos for the better part of a year, for well over 6 months. And you still stuck around. You were there before I took that little break, and then you've come back afterwards. You were commenting before I stopped for a year, or better part of a year, and now you're back commenting again. So you're stalking my YouTube channel, right? I don't mind, by the way, if people leave lengthy comments. But again, your comments are all, as far as I can recall, your comments have all been to try and basically tear me down and pick me apart and suggest that I am unintelligent. To likely, again, to publicly discredit me and to try to make me feel stupid, even though you're really just, you're doing the opposite of that, because now I'm going to expose you and lay you bare in my videos and just show people, like, see the kind of stupidity I have to deal with? By all means, leave long comments on my YouTube channel. Just please don't be as stupid as this person. Also, and because, circling back a little bit to the ad hominem thing, hurling insults at you, insulting you personally, if you don't understand the fact that, of course, I'm going out of my way to do that because I find you distasteful, and that I find you distasteful because I think that you are a member of a network of ritual child abusers, and or you're working for them. It's like, how do you not understand that? And I already gave the example of, I believe in giving bad people negative consequences for their bad behavior. So I'm not going to be little Miss Sweetheart, Sugar and Spice Princess and speak to you as if we're at tea with the Queen, dum-dum. I'm going to call you every kind of word I can think of that I think adequately describes you, but also insults you. Like, I swear, the cluster Bs, the psychopaths and the sociopaths, and like the truly evil people, the child abusers, so on and so forth, the murderers and the rapists, they are the biggest babies. When you really get down to the nitty gritty of it, when you really boil it down, they are the biggest babies. Because they just turn around and go, you don't have to be so mean to me. Why are you being so mean? Because you're a disgusting person. Because you're evil. That's why I'm being mean to you. Why are you expecting people to be kind to you when you're stalking people, when you're a member of a network of child traffickers? Like, why would you expect that? It just, again, like, it just points to, like, you are A, stupid. You're the unintelligent one. And B, you're insane. You must be some shade of insane to think that people should be kind to you when you are what I strongly believe that you are. Right? And by the way, it's like, bravo for using the little ad hominem trying to make yourself look intelligent. When you're not. You're just so not. Like, nice try. But maybe take your 50-cent words to another YouTube channel. Try them out on someone else. Maybe they'll impress somebody else, right? You're not impressing anyone around here. Let's see. Do you not expect people? Yeah, I already did that. All right, so I made my comment specifically to your claim that everybody wants to have a family and would always prefer to choose a family over anything else. And again, I've said this several times in the previous videos, picking apart your last comment. No, I didn't say that. I excluded some people. I said more along the lines of anybody who has the intelligence to know what they really want, to really know themselves, and to sit down and work out what's really important, and also, isn't so off base with their values. Somebody who isn't psychologically impaired, like a psychopath, basically, and somebody who isn't a total moron. Those people are the ones who would choose the family every time. And that was only if they were made to choose the family over doing something great. Like, quote unquote, what society would consider to be great. Like building the Taj Mahal, or something along those lines. Or being the first man to walk on the moon. Or being Amelia Earhart flying around the world. All right? More specifically, I said, anybody with 2 brain cells who isn't a psychopath would choose the family. So I think that implied, more than implied, that assuming you are not a total idiot or so far afield in your psychology that you are just basically like a predator monster, then given the choice, if you had to choose, you would choose the family. Again, it's assuming that most people are, well, it's not assuming. I already got into that in the previous videos. Like, most people, I do think, don't know themselves well enough that they would choose the family. But they still, if they did, they would choose the family. All right. Let's not prattle on any farther with that nonsense. So, again, you are not even properly quoting me. You're putting words in my mouth. Right? You're claiming that I was making an argument that I was not making. I excluded people from everybody. Didn't I? And I gave you several times over now, in previous videos and just now, I touched upon it. I gave you reasons why some people would not choose the family. All right. Which is exactly what you did claim. No, I didn't. In my comment to you, I did not undermine the importance of motherhood. I also did not claim that happiness is the main goal in life. All right, real quick, let's tackle the happiness thing first, and then we'll go into the motherhood thing. You did not make the specific claim that happiness is the main goal in life. But the only kind of real rebuttal you gave me was that you have plenty of friends who've chosen not to have families and that they are perfectly happy. And that was inadequate as a response to my argument, because my argument was that the meaning of life is to live a meaningful life, and that ultimately the most meaningful and fulfilling life you can have is to have a family, to have children, a partner, rear a family. I did not say that it was the only thing that could give you a fulfilled, meaningful life, but I did say that ultimately it was the most meaningful, or I was implying it at least, that it is the most meaningful and fulfilling life. And again, in order to have a meaningful life, your life can't just always be happy. That's not meaningful, to just always be happy all the time and never have any little bit of some kind of suffering or struggle or obstacle that you have to come up against. So again, like you simply did not adequately respond to my argument at all, because you failed to say in the previous comment anything along the lines of that your friends had meaningful, fulfilled lives. You just said that they were happy, right? And you failed to also give examples of, what they do, what makes their lives meaningful and fulfilled, if not for a family. You failed to do all of that. So yeah. Now, circling back to the first part of the sentence, in my comment to you, I did not undermine the importance of motherhood. Specifically, no, I can't quite think of any parts of your comment where you specifically undermined the importance of motherhood. Perhaps if I go back and look, I could find something. I'm not going to do that right now, but the reason why I know what you're talking about is because I said in one of my previous videos that it's women. It's one of the problems for women such as myself who want to settle down and have children and be stay-at-home mothers and homemakers and focus our attentions on rearing our children properly. One of the biggest problems, that make it so that it's harder and harder for us to do that these days are females like yourself who go out of your way to pick fights online with women like me and argue with me, right? I will say this also. What I also was implying by females like yourself are females who are in devil-worshipping cults that engage in ritual child abuse and incest. Because that shit is very much against the mother. So I delved into explaining this with some of the first videos I began releasing on my channel talking about this network of child traffickers. I won't go into great detail talking about it again, but I will touch upon it a little bit right here. So if you think about it, guys, the devil, and please, I'm simply using Christian vernacular because I am from a predominantly Christian area of the world. I was raised in a loosely somewhat Christian family, so that's the vernacular I'm familiar with. Feel free to assign any other label to this figure that you would prefer. When I say the devil, I mean a few things. Well, I mean this idea of an externalized energy or force. It does not even have to be something that manifests in the material, but this overall externalized energy or force that is evil, nasty, mean, but not just nasty and mean, because that would be more acceptable. But I mean something that truly is against nature, truly that is against the natural way of things, something that wants to cause chaos and suffering and brutality, torture, trauma, rape. Something that thrives on those things, something that wants to see people in real turmoil, something that also wants to trick people. So the devil is known as, the father of lies, and he's also known as a trickster. Whenever the devil character or figure pops up in any pantheon, in any religion, belief system, or mythology, from any culture, basically throughout human history, this figure has popped up in many belief systems. Sometimes some belief systems have a few different figures that symbolize this guy, if you want to call him. I'm just going to say this guy, all right? So he's had many faces and many names over the several thousands of years now, throughout history. So he stands for very specific things, for evil, horrible things, chaos. So I won't list all of it again, but that's who I'm talking about when I say the devil. There are people out there who worship this thing. I'm also talking about, I'm not just talking about this an externalized entity. I am talking about how it manifests itself within us. This thing also is the survival mind that is in every human being. It's the reptile survival mind that we have within all of us. And some people operate more from their reptilian survival minds than others, right? Some people operate more from their higher minds. Others operate more from their lower reptilian minds. The devil stands for the lower reptilian mind. He stands for the pleasures of the flesh, addictions, all of that. All right? And material, people who are just shallow, they just enjoy material things. They will sacrifice the integrity of their ethics and morals. They'll sacrifice their loved ones in order to gain material things for themselves. So, when you understand that, and you understand, so then you have to, I've made a study of the devil, all right? In so many ways. This archetype of the devil. I've made a study of him whenever he pops up in any belief system. And one of the things that I came to realize is that if you try to sit down and think about what the devil would want the most from his followers, if you're trying to figure out what devil worshipers might engage in order to please this entity, this energy that they are trying to please, what might they engage in order to gain his favor? So when you sit down and make yourself think about that for a little while, the ultimate conclusion you will come to is child rape, because that's the absolute worst thing that you can do. What the devil wants you to do the most is rape your own children. Psychologically, emotionally, physically, in any way you possibly can. Right? And that is against the mother. It's that really, so that puts him, the archetype of the devil, that puts the archetype of the devil at odds forever, at war with the archetype of the mother. Why? Because it's a big part of the mother's job. It's a big part of her archetype and her character to be nurturing and protective of children and to basically cock block predators from harming children. So the devil, like ultimately, if you were to see these two as being major, huge energies, entities swirling around in the universe, but also living through ourselves as human beings, these two are going head to head with each other constantly. So if you are a devil worshiper or you are helping a devil worshiping cult that engages in child abuse, ritual child abuse, you are against motherhood. You are against the mother. You are undermining motherhood. You are undermining the mother. By the way, make note, guys, make note of her specific wording here. In my comment to you, I did not undermine the importance of motherhood. I also did not claim that happiness is the main goal in life. So in my comment to you, I did not undermine the importance of motherhood. She's not claiming here that motherhood is important. Let's just be clear about that. She's simply claiming that she did not undermine the importance of motherhood. She is not making any firm statements that she respects motherhood or mothers. She is simply denying that she ever undermined motherhood. I'm just going to point that out to you guys. Make sure you make note of that and are perfectly clear on that. So she is not, what's the word I'm looking for? She's not declaring herself for the mother's camp, for the archetype of the mother. She's not declaring herself for the archetype of the mother. All right. But I suggest to you that her actions, her stalkerish type, her stalker behavior, the fact that it seems to align itself, go hand in hand with my trying to expose a cult network, basically, of devil worshippers who engage in incest and ritual sexualized child abuse in order to appease the devil that they worship. I say that is very suggestive of the fact that she is very much against the mother. All right? And against motherhood. She's against mothers being able to do their jobs properly and raise their children properly. So that's one of the reasons why I said that in one of my recent videos. Implied that females like you are really one of the major issues for real mothers in the world, real women. All right? You may want to read my comment again, because what you have concluded it to mean has little to do with my intended meaning and what I actually wrote. Well, if I misunderstood your intended meaning, then perhaps you should be a little bit more clear with your comments, the wording of your comments. But I will not read your previous comment again, because I made a handful of videos where I picked apart your previous comment sentence by sentence, just as I'm doing right now, and refuted what you're saying. So, and I think that I did a much better job of it than you did. But you did leave this comment before I made those videos specifically picking through your comment sentence for sentence. So no, I've already done that. I've picked apart your previous comment sentence by sentence. I repeatedly showed you how stupid you're being, how sneaky and clever you're being. I've just done that again by pointing out to people that she is not saying that motherhood is important here. She is simply declaring that she did not undermine the importance of motherhood. She is not saying that she thinks that motherhood, proper motherhood, good motherhood, mothers being able to focus most of their time and energy and efforts on properly developing their children, she's not saying that that is important. All right. So I've been pointing out all along, A, your stupidity, and B, your trickiness. But if I'm misconstruing the intended meaning behind your comments, please do word them more accurately. All right. Maybe I should tell you that I am not a businesswoman. I am a social pedagogue working with autistic adults with challenging behavior. That's troubling to me to know that, because I said this in a previous video, I'll say it again. These people in this cult network who worship the devil, they go out of their way to get employment and positions in the world where they are working with either children or very vulnerable adults so that they can abuse them. So right there, you follow more of the pattern of my suspects in this cult. You would have been more off pattern if you said something like, I deliver pizzas for a living, like, and so I don't know exactly why you felt the need to point that out. I guess because I did somewhat assume or imply that you were maybe some kind of businesswoman. But I don't think that takes away from the point I was making previously. I did not claim that the way my friends live is something others should aspire to. No, you didn't. What you implied it, though, when you offered up that statement that you have friends who chose not to have children who are perfectly happy, as an adequate rebuttal for my argument. I think the implication was somewhat there, but technically, no, you did not claim that the way your friends live their lives is something that others should aspire to. The reason for mentioning them was to illustrate the point that some women choose not to have children and still live meaningful, happy, and fulfilled lives. Lives. There should be a V there instead of an F. I do this for your own betterment. I understand that English might not be your first language since you seem to be from Germany. So, yeah, you mean lives with a V, not lifes with an F. So let me reread that sentence. The reason for mentioning them was to illustrate the point that some women choose not to have children and still live meaningful, happy, and fulfilled lives. So again, it was not an adequate argument, because first of all, you're expecting me to take your word for it that that you really intimately know your friends well enough to make a statement that they feel fulfilled in their lives. So first of all, right off the bat, and I've also made this argument in previous videos where, first of all, how do we know that your friends even are aware of the fact that they feel fulfilled or not? Because so many people out there do not self-reflect. They do not know whether or not, they don't understand really what they really want. They just kind of distract themselves day by day with things like consumerism. Sitting around watching TV and movies, playing video games, buying stuff, eating. And they don't take the time to stop and think for very long about what they really want, what they should really do with their lives, what will truly satisfy them and fulfill them. So right off the bat, you're expecting me to take your word for it that your friends are self-aware enough and intelligent enough, emotionally intelligent enough, psychologically intelligent enough, what have you, to truly understand whether or not they feel fulfilled. then B, you're expecting me to trust that they would tell you the truth one way or the other, and maybe not just like pretend that they are feeling fulfilled. Or again, they might just tell you like, yeah, I feel really, really happy. I feel really satisfied, blah, blah, blah. But I've heard people say that and they were shallow idiots, you know? They were not happy. They were not satisfied. If you truly sat down and analyzed their lives and the way they behave, they were not happy or satisfied with their lives. They just weren't. They were shallow. They sought out material things all the time. And it never made them happy. It made them happy for a very short period of time. But then they'd be right back to feeling kind of like this, feeling of overall depression or dissatisfaction with themselves. And so they would think that they could solve that by buying something else, or eating something else. And so again, A, you're expecting me to trust that your friends know themselves well enough to know whether or not they're fulfilled and satisfied with their lives. B, you're expecting me to trust that your friends are totally honest and open with you about how they feel and about their lives. C, you're expecting me to trust that you are telling the truth about all of this, that you're telling, like, you might not have any friends whatsoever as far as I know, and also, you are failing to, the other thing is, you are failing to tell us, what do they do that fulfills their lives and makes them feel satisfied? What do they do that's meaningful and purposeful with their lives, if not having a family? What is the alternative? You are not offering up any alternatives. You're simply saying, like, I have friends who don't have families and they feel fulfilled and satisfied and they have meaningful lives. Okay, how so? What are they doing that's meaningful? And keep in mind, meaningfulness is not something you can assign to just anything. All right, look up the definition of meaningful, and there are actual requirements that you must meet, or that something must meet in order to qualify as meaningful. So, what are they doing with their lives that's so meaningful that could, that would qualify them to be able to say, they feel like they're living very satisfied, fulfilled, meaningful lives, rather than just distracting themselves day by day from the fact that they are actually overall not feeling very fulfilled or satisfied. You really need to offer more information so that we know that you're not full of shit, right? And yeah, so let's just leave it there. This is probably a long enough video just for one comment. And I feel like I didn't do my argument quite enough justice. I had on backup in the back of my mind some things I wanted to mention. I feel like I didn't touch upon every topic. I also feel like I didn't quite word it smoothly enough, but this will do for now, right? So, you really need to provide better arguments. So again, I encourage you at the very least, if you're going to use your friends, note how she doesn't use her life as an example. Do you have a family? Do you have a husband and children, partner, children? She doesn't use her life as an example. She uses her supposed friends' lives as examples. So please give us more details. What do your friends do that's so meaningful and fulfilling, other than, if they've chosen not to have a family? And again, please also give a better argument demonstrating how that is more meaningful or fulfilling than having a family. Because again, my argument was that having a family is the ultimate way of having a meaningful and fulfilling life. Not the only way, but the ultimate way. So in order for you to really win at this specific debate, honey, is you have to provide other ways of living that are not just as meaningful, but more meaningful, more satisfying, more fulfilling than having a family. Like, I can't believe I have to frickin' coach you through how to debate with me, but fine. You're welcome. Here's a gift. In order to win at this debate, you have to provide that information. So maybe sit down and think about it for a night or something, and get back to me with, I'm sure, just another really long, involved article of a comment. All right, that's the end of this one.